If you're looking for the best clothing deals in Salt Lake County, one place stands out for the price, quality, and the selection, and that's Zalzo. Zalzo is your destination for up to 70% off premium and mid-luxury brands every single day. Tucked just off of 3900 South in Murray, Zalzo carries the brands you actually want to wear at the prices you're happy to pay. Run over to our store today and see for yourself the weekly updates to the always impressive and expansive inventory of both adult and children's clothing. While you're here, don't forget to check out the weekly markdown racks with even steeper deals. Stuck on a work call? Go to Zalzo.com. That's ZALLZO.com for information and a listing of in-store deals. Zalzo, you'll come in just to look, but we know you'll leave hooked.
As our coach said, it's going to be a dogfight, but we are ready for that. And it's 90 minutes. We need to give everything. So yeah, we need to be locked in.
At the end of the day, the fans would see it. We've been trying to represent them on the pitch, and we are going to give our 100% every single game for them. And
can't wait to get back and put on, the RSL jersey and in front of the fans that have been amazing support. Without them, without RSL, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So I'm extremely grateful and I'm excited.
What's up, RSL Nation?
Welcome to the Royal Riot.
Salvas gets it away. Catranes, the square ball. Diego Luna! It's Diego Luna now trying to turn. Luna! Oh, it's in! What a goal! A lot of space for Johnny Russell. Johnny Russell! His first start for Real Salt Lake. His first goal for Real Salt Lake. One hole! Magnificent from Real Salt Lake. And Noel Kaliskan with the best goal he's probably ever scored.
Oh, turns, overlap on the right side. Gonzalez! Yes!
Brian Ojeda. Here's a Ghana, third time. Is it a charm? Malagon, Luna! Yeah! Cabral has been insatiable in goal. Zuniga now! Cabral, the hero! Man, this guy's good! They have found a keeper in Salt Lake City!
Welcome back to Royal Riot. It is March 2nd, 2026. We are recording here the first time in March. This is take 2. This is hopefully able to hear you guys this time. LD, how are you doing today? Let's see if I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Hado?
Okay, we're good. Last time
I
couldn't hear any of them. It was strange. We were all talking before, then we start. Boom, can't hear them. So if you saw a 2-minute YouTube video, no, you didn't. We'll delete it later. But LD, how are you doing today?
I just want to say, typical Hayden to try and blame the issue on someone else when it's exactly his fault that it's not working. So I just
that is on me.
No, I'm doing good, Hado. I was going to say the gang's back together. I'm so happy that we are all in the same room once again. And we're going to be talking some fun stuff this episode because we're coming off a stellar result from RSL. So I'm excited to be here.
Over under 2.5 episodes, all 4 of us can be on an episode together in a row.
Smash the under. Smash the under.
Smash the under. I just don't think there's a shot. Me knowing I'm going to be in Florida next Monday and just very likely not able to record. So hopefully I'm here. I might just join from the phone. We'll have to see how the audio and everything is. But I'll be on a work trip in Florida, not even close to where you are. I'll be in the armpit of Florida in Gainesville. So not really too excited for that.
Go Gators.
Yeah, I guess. Chomp, chomp. Maddie, how are you doing today?
So good. Breaking news. We have now been approved for 2 places to live.
Wow.
Yes.
Big news, Maddie. The gang's moving back to Utah.
Only one of them has $350 in undisclosed monthly fees. Yay.
Hey, those fees, they're probably going towards something useful. Probably. Good chance, maybe.
Administration fee?
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care about $105 for them to have their lights on. I just don't. And then there's NWB, CAM. There's like all sorts of stuff. And I was like, why did the rent go from $1,545 to $1,915? And they're like, oh, we told you about those fees. And I'm like, no, you didn't.
Maddie, you just have to read the super, super small print. You just got to read it. That's on you, probably. They absolutely disclose those. There's no predatory renting practices in Utah.
We had a face-to-face. I drove to Salt Lake to have the conversation face-to-face. And they were like, no, it's just this. We're going to report your credit, and we're going to let you use the online portal, and you can't opt out of that $35 a month. And I'm like, all right, fine. Told me about that one. Didn't tell me about the rest of them. But luckily, I'm not the type to burn bridges. So just moved on to number 2 on the list, and they just approved us signing the lease, moving on Wednesday. Yay! Nice. I'm staying in Utah.
Staying in Utah. Odie, when are you moving out here? When are you coming back, buddy?
I'll let you know as soon as I find out.
We need to get an in-person studio, probably. We can probably afford that.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Jimmy, if you're listening to this, our director of advertising is your official title, and we're going to need you to get a couple. We probably every 10 minutes, we need an advertising break. So we need a studio at this point. We're almost all back in Utah, and we need to be able to have rent, and that's probably going to be at least $1,500 a month. So got to find that somewhere, Jimmy. That's your job now. David, how you doing today?
Good. Like I was telling you, Hayden, before we went live, I'm just keep reading, getting into one of Maddie's and Hayden's favorite series, Red Rising. So that's good. And just chilling here,
Your heart
going
is
to
about
the
to
game.
be torn in so many different ways. I can't wait.
Like high school all over again. All good.
Except so much worse. I literally can't wait for this. Every week I want a full update. We will join 30 minutes early, and if people want us to record this, we can. LD won't be joining because he can't read, so that's on him. But everyone else. No, Maddie, don't look like that. He is now the non-reader of the group. I used to be that. I just can't pronounce things. He can't read them but can pronounce. I can read, can't pronounce.
One of us has a doctorate.
Throwing
it out there.
Probably
and
fake.
Listening to audiobooks does not mean you can read. I'm sorry.
Well,
I love you, but that's not how it works.
I imagine the words in my head.
Okay.
The words do. I don't think in pictures. I think in words, actually. So that's probably even more reading if we really think about it.
Sometimes listening to you explain your thought process is what I imagine it would be like if I got to have a conversation with the referees who call these matches.
Well,
and I mean that exactly like it sounds.
Well, the Vancouver ref was terrible. I mean, we can talk a little bit about how later in the week after y'all recorded last week, they suspended, what was his name? Maddie, you'll have it off the top of your head.
Sabi, right?
Emmanuel Sabi, U.S. men's national team international, BT Dubs.
Yeah. So just don't know how. I mean, obviously we know how. It happens to RSL all the time, but it's super awesome when the player gets suspended. And also it's like, my biggest thing is like Drew Fisher was the ref and he's the best MLS has to offer. And we don't send him to VAR and go and look at it.
I'm not endorsing that statement.
I'm going based off of them always putting him on the pedestal. And then also he's reffed World Cup games. Like he has gone international. So like as far as
he won
pedigree,
ref of the year
he's got
year.
the best one right now.
He won ref of the year. He reffed the MLS Cup finals.
Yeah, last year. So that's where it's kind of like, dude, it did happen right in front of you. But it is what it is. That was Vancouver. We did have a bit better match when we took on Seattle, who coming into this game, 15 straight without a win if you don't count Open Cup. Maddie absolutely counts it in all things, but unless the agenda thrives on not counting it. So MLS regular season play only and playoffs. Seattle has not won a game since 2011. Kind of insane. Coming into this, they are 12 losses, 3 draws in that time. So again, 15 straight going into this. RSL comes in with pretty similar lineup to last time. The big two, I mean, there was a couple changes, but the big two, we have our 2 new players with Engel and Sanabria coming in, which was very exciting. I mean, seeing the 2 new guys, 2 big signings, being able to get their first starts after their visas were approved. Hopefully we're getting closer with Spearings coming from injury. Morgan, of course, was available off the bench, which we'll talk about him later. Maddie, was it Spearings just visa?
Yes.
I thought he got a knock in training. No?
Nope.
So who's injured? Just Olatunji and Luna?
Olatunji, Luna, Yedlin, I think are our big three. And then we're still waiting on the other Juan Arias to recover from an adductor strain, which he suffered with his previous team, Atletico Nacional. And then this is not official. I heard somebody saying something like maybe it's one of those muscle injuries that maybe Dr. LD, who reads so well, can explain how it migrates to the next muscle down the chain. But I don't have a timeline on any of those guys yet. And then obviously, of course, we get a new injury in this match.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the injury a little bit later as we get into the second half. It does seem like it's not the greatest injury so far. I mean, officials haven't come out with what it is, but just based off press conference, doesn't sound good. But yes, RSL comes into this lineup with a very young lineup. Once again, they are starting Luka Moisa, Aiden Herzakani, 2 18-year-olds, and then, of course, actually, Moisa's 17. Moisa's 17, and then you've got the other 18-year-old Gozo. So you got 3 teenagers. You got Piol pretty young, Booth pretty young, and then PQ, not really young, but young and kind of experienced. Kind of funny that he's been around a little bit, but he's starting to get some more minutes. So RSL just starting a pretty young lineup against the Seattle team, where Seattle, this is the same Seattle team we have seen for a long time. That back line has looked the same. I mean, the midfield looks very similar. The only big difference that I see when I look at this team is you got Ferreira, and then their goalkeeper, Thomas, is someone that I haven't seen too much lately. So kind of the only differences from Seattle. Otherwise, it's the same old, same old. Starts off in this game. Really, I won't go breakdown by breakdown other than Cabral is him. It's really hard to be able to go over everything that he did. We would be going over, way too long into this game. We're actually going to bring out a new, I'm calling it Stars of the Match Day. We each get 3 to award. You can award more than 1 star to one player, but you only get 3. So if you want to give Cabral all 3, go ahead. And we'll just kind of keep track of them throughout the season. It'll be good for us to be able to see what it looks like. But the 35-year-old looks like he's in his absolute prime. Looks like he has not lost a step from last year, where it was one of the best goalkeeping standalone seasons I've ever seen from an RSL goalie, which says a lot considering Nick Raimondo had been so good for so long. Again, just a standalone season, that was fantastic from Cabral, and he's absolutely keeping it up so far. He played really well against Vancouver, I thought, and now back again against Seattle. In this game, he had 6 saves, which doesn't seem like as much as he was clutching up with us, but those 6 saves were absolutely massive. RSL kept on putting themselves in some pretty bad spots a couple of times where we were giving the ball away in some pretty bad areas. One notably where Kalaskan tries to hit it back, Rusnak gets the ball, and Cabral comes out very, very fast, is able just to stay big, keep his arm out, and I thought Rusnak was going to be able to get it away, but the wall of Cabral stayed tall and did not let that get past. But that was just one giveaway. PQ had we'll give PQ some very good praise, I think, pretty later on. But he did have a pretty poor yellow card early on that led to an opportunity in the 6th minute where he got turned like a top and ends up giving up the yellow card where, you don't want him just to let the guy get past him, but it's just like, oh, okay, wish you could have defended that a little bit better. But what are your guys' thoughts on the first half? We don't need to go moment by moment. We'll talk about the goal in just a moment. But overall, thoughts on the first half of this game. Maddie, we'll start with you.
On the good side, there was the goal. I love seeing how ready the young players are. I heard an interesting stat at the Monarchs game, actually, that RSL's academy leads the league in players who have gone on to sign pro contracts with 48. So it's nice to see the pipeline going all the way through. I agree that Cabral is him. He's definitely getting one of my stars or cookies or whatever, cups of coffee, whatever we're calling it. I thought there were entirely too many unforced giveaways, not even like under pressure, just passing it directly to the other team. And Seattle is great at jumping lanes, especially the Roldan brothers. But that was concerning, and it's something I'd like to see cleaned up next week.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen quite a bit, too, when you have such a young lineup. And then also it's a new version of the lineup where you have 3 in the back. The midfield is just not used to playing with each other. And so I think that's something that will be figured out. But overall, Seattle should have a very good attacking team, only giving up 1 goal total. A lot of this was, of course, Cabral standing on his head. But it is very encouraging to see Vancouver, one of the best attacking teams in the league, that last year and a team that I think will be deadly this year. We held him to a goal on the road last year, or last week, excuse me, not last year, but last week. And then they go and demolish Toronto 3-0. So that still is a team that is going to have a very good attacking future. So even with these giveaways and everything like that, I think the work rate that we're seeing, especially by Luka Moisa, he is everywhere. I mean, what he gives up in maybe size or maybe just experience with the ball at his feet, the defensive effort is insane. He will literally chase down 4 or 5 guys. He'll just follow the ball, chase, and let everyone else kind of mark the next space behind it, which it's really hard to do for a midfielder to be able to have that much energy for that long. But if you just watch a couple moments in this game, it's nothing that will ever show up on the stat sheet because he doesn't win the ball, but he forces the ball backwards. And that's something that was really big. So Luka, I thought, played really well. Of course, he has giveaways. He's going to have those mistakes, but I think he makes up for it a lot with his defensive tenacity. LD, when you watch the first half, who's a player that stands out to you? Do you want to go ahead and talk about the goal or any other moments before we get to that goal?
Yeah, first, just for clarification, or maybe confirmation is the right word, but I've heard Luka Moisa's name pronounced differently. I've heard Moisa and Moisa, and I know when the announcer was saying it during the game, he kept saying Moisa, and I was like, that sounds wrong. But then I also heard Trey on an interview on the radio call him Moisa. And so I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way that he likes his name preferred or if he's okay with both. I'm sure Maddie has intel with that.
It's Moisa. So okay. I don't know how the pronunciation guide got messed up, but the pronunciation guide says Moesa, and that's why the commentators are saying it. I literally walked up to him outside training and said, have I been saying your name wrong for 2 years? Is it Moesa? And he goes, it's Moisa. How hard is it? I'm like, okay, dude, it's in the pronunciation guide wrong. Okay.
Yeah,
don't treat me like Nuhu, man. Don't body me.
That's what I thought too. But I guess what confused me more is when I heard Trey on the radio say it. So I was like, oh, like you would think Trey would know, how to pronounce
the pronunciation guide came out as Moes, and like literally, I just went to pick up my phone to see what time that was that he tried to body Nuhu. I think it was the 11th minute, which is still the funniest thing I've ever seen. And I'm literally getting texts from David Goss because I texted him after they were talking about it. I'm like, dude, I love all the RSL stuff, but it's Moisa. And David Goss writes, dude, I know, but Weeby was in SLC this weekend and he asked and he told him this is how to say it. And I was like, Goss was like, they literally told me different at the GA Cup, which is where Goss and I were talking about Moisa. Guys,
interesting.
It is definitely Moisa.
Put that to rest.
Perfect. That's good to know. Okay, so yeah, obviously I was hyped on Luka Moisa, but I'll give some love to my boy Hezi. Obviously, he's the go-to because of the nasty goal that he put away in the back of the net. But so when I saw him play in Vancouver, right, and we saw some flashes from him last year when he got, the occasional minutes that he was granted. But when I saw him in Vancouver, I was like, man, like this kid, like really, really just, I had expectations for him to do well, but he just really overshot those expectations with how he played in Vancouver. And my mindset was kind of like, okay, it's kind of like they got nothing to lose, right? Most of the players that should have been starting in that game ended up getting hurt for wacky, crazy reasons. So you kind of just get thrown into the fire, go do your thing. Pablo's probably like, dude, no stress. Just don't freak out. Just go play some ball, right? There's not a lot, that you have to be worried about. Just, go play ball. So I think, in my head, I was like, oh, there might be a little bit of just like carefree to, not feel like you're going to mess up or whatever because you're just playing in Vancouver and you just got called upon. So just go do your thing. This game I felt like was a little bit more, I think, pressure on their shoulders because this was their second time starting. You have some more reinforcements that have come back into the lineup, right? We're at home. We're playing a very good Western Conference team. So I was a little nervous to see how, Hezer Khani ended up playing in this game, as well as the other young ones like Luka Moisa and others. But dude, Hezi just has so much confidence right now when he's got the ball at his feet, and he does a lot of good stuff off the ball as well that we can get into. But I'm just so impressed with the confidence that he has with each touch, the things that he tries to do. Like he is playing not scared, and it's dangerous. We have a young guy who's playing not scared and is also being very efficient with what he's doing on the field. And so, I think Hezer Khani's obviously a very easy one to go to right now, but I just can't not bring him up right away and just give him his flowers because, if I'm, any of the other players that should be starting in this 11 right now, you never want to be worried that there's another player that's capable of being in the starting 11, right? But you definitely got to be on your A game this entire season because I think this is his, these are his minutes to lose, right? If he keeps playing at this pace, like this is a good problem for Pablo Mastroeni. But yeah, man, the finish, the composure that he had to put that away in the back of the net. I heard in the press conference, I think you might have asked him this question, Maddie. Maybe it was someone else, I can't remember, but he was basically saying like, oh, I got kind of lucky with how I, scored that goal. And I was like, bro, you are setting yourself like too short. Like I saw the run up, the technique, the way that he framed his body towards the goal to put that in the back of the net. That was skill. That was his talent. And that's just a little glimpse of, I think, what we have to see this season from him. So I'm really hyped on this guy. I don't know if anybody else calls him Hezzy, but I want to get that going because I think that's such a sick name for him. Anyway, got to give my love to my boy Hezar Khani because he just is absolutely playing on a clip right now this early in the season. It's really impressive.
It's insane to really see him go. And that's kind of, we talked, Maddie, David, we talked a lot about how Pablo is going to have an interesting problem this season because the depth is there. We don't know who's going to maybe outshine the rest, but he is going to have to give the opportunities to players, and that's going to be what he's really tested on this season as a coach, and that's something he probably really hasn't had as much in the past, really, when you compare it to this year. But I don't know if any of us predicted that it was Luka Moisa and Hezar Khani that were going to be the two pushing so hard because the injuries that allowed. I mean, Moisa should not be playing right now, and he is taking it and running. Anelli, Spearings, Ruiz, all three of those guys coming into the season, I don't even think many people were thinking Moisa was going to start, let alone be this good. And then Hezar Khani, I mean, you've got Gozo, you've got Dominic, you've got Morgan, who, of course, coming off visa and everything like that, getting into this. But Hezar Khani was maybe, okay, we'll get you some early minutes, kind of just see how you go. I don't know how you take him off the field right now. I don't know how you say, you know what? You played awesome. You got a goal. You were the most deadly player in Vancouver. But unfortunately, we do have to bench you because we've got a DP who we'll talk about. Again, I'm very excited about that DP, but Hezar Khani going crazy. David, go ahead.
Yeah. And you even forgot Tyler Wolf, which we all kind of highlighted in the preseason, did pretty well. So, yeah, I would say that I remember, Hato, that you said that CM is kind of a position of worry, but I feel pretty good with Moisa now. It's honestly another option that I didn't really think that he would get, like you said, as many minutes and look as good in his minutes. So the one player that stood out to me a little bit, and you can see that he got the assist in the first half, is Sanabria as well. He looked so cool and collected with that assist. Like he knew exactly where he wanted to put that ball. And it just shows that like when you have experience, when you have those players that can play attack, but also come back and defend, it really pays dividends. So for me, I think he's going to have a great year and it's a great debut for him. Having an assist as a left wing back is pretty much what you want, other than a goal. So I was pretty high on his performance as well.
Somebody's got to go and find the Sanabria parents, though, because the Galaxy one had a goal this last week, and then the RSL one had an assist. Somebody's got to go find the parents and ask them about how it is to watch their sons compete in the same league. I'm actually super excited for that matchup later in the year when we do play the Galaxy, see the brothers compete against each other, because they're both, I've never even thought about the Galaxy one until we got our own. And now I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'll keep an eye on him just because I want to see which brother's better. And they're going toe for toe right now. So it's been fun. The biggest thing about Sanabria, they pronounced it two or three different ways on the broadcast too. Sanabria. The thing that I loved and I thought was very interesting, and this is probably more tactical, was his positioning. Whenever we were on the attack and the ball wasn't on that left side right away, Sanabria is right next to Peel, and then Booth is actually dropped back a little bit. I thought that was kind of interesting because I think Booth is the one player that I can pretty easily say, okay, once Luna's healthy, I'll put Booth out and it will be Booth coming off the bench and I'll be happy with that. Not that Booth has done anything wrong. It's just he hasn't made me worried about Luna's minutes necessarily. But in the future, what I'm excited for is when it's Luna being able to sit a little bit deep, a little bit back and be able to create. And then Sanabria is still deadly next to that 9. And essentially we can play right through the middle of the box because he can get the ball, chip it, or if the ball gets deflected like it does on the goal and the ball lands at his feet, just an absolute beauty of a cross. And Aiden, I don't care if you think it was a mistake. That's no mistake or not a mistake, but if it was maybe not as intended for that shot to look as beautiful as it was, the fact that he one times that, gets that on frame, that's what we've been asking for a while from our attackers, is just get the ball on frame, take the shots. We have the ball in good positions, and we're either not shooting or the ball's not going on frame quite a bit. This time, Moisa slings the ball over to Sanabria, and Sanabria. Well, go ahead, Maddie.
It actually started with Gozo. So
Yes.
there was a buildup in the back, and it came to Gozo in that right channel. He literally, I think the whole first goal, even though he'll never get an assist for it and shouldn't, was because of Gozo, because he was torching Seattle down that right side and tormenting not just their defense, but their coaching staff, because they couldn't contain him. And on this play, he dipsy doodles like 3 guys, and then he tries to hit Sanabria, and it gets blocked. The guy who blocks the pass tries to pass it to Roldan, and Moisa jumps that pass and then gets it to Sanabria. I just wanted to make sure Gozo gets flowers.
Yeah, Gozo had an absolutely terrific run, and he did this a lot in Vancouver too, where he has those runs, and the energy he has, the defensive work rate has gone up. He is doing what he is being asked to do, especially, I mean, I was doing a rewatch today, and I actually only got through the first half, but the 2 biggest takeaways were the positioning of Gozo and Sanabria. It was Gozo on defense was everywhere. He was pestering Rothrock, Nuhu. It didn't matter who it was. He was not shying away. I think that's massive from him. And I don't, obviously had a lot of work rate last year, but it was kind of just hustle work rate, where this year it seems like he also has the positioning down. And then he's also bringing that hustle and that X-Dog, if you will, and everything like that with it. But it seems more of a complete package. And I was worried about how he would play in that defensive position. I've been very impressed. Go ahead, Odie.
Yeah, I was just going to say one thing that I've noticed from our players, and it's not perfect all the time, and obviously we're still so fresh in the season that you don't expect it to be super perfect and consistent right off the bat. But something that I'm seeing is from all the 11, like defensively, their approach is so much more proactive than reactive. And I think that's what's getting us into key positions in the attack. Because if you think about it, like in the sense when Gozo has the confidence to start, taking players on and just start going towards the 18. I love that, because in my head, I'm always like, just go attack the goal, because something is bound to happen, right? You're pushing more into their side of the field. That's going to make their defense drop. But you need the other players around you to be like, instinctually ready that if Gozo loses the ball, or if a player is able to, to create a turnover, how are they going to prepare to either get the ball back, or if it's a loose ball, to regain possession, right? And I think Luka Moisa did a really good job of that when Gozo ended up losing the ball. So I just saw a lot of instances where, like, when there was potential for a turnover, our players were positioning themselves or reacting in a very proactive state to where they were able to jump back on the ball or regain possession. And it kind of just keeps that pressure in that end of the field for Seattle, which I think helped provide us with the opportunities that we ended up getting. So I really hope that's just a key feature that we continue to see. And I think the personnel that we have this year in our roster and the way that Pablo has set us up in the system is going to be asking for that throughout the game. And it's cool to see them doing that already so early, so effectively. Like I said, it's not perfect. There's obviously times where they could do a better job at that, but I think you're seeing that more often than not. And I think that's a really good sign so far this early in the season.
And to go off on that as well, just the effort that we're seeing, not just from the back, but from everyone to work to get the ball back as quick as possible. When we talk about this goal, let's start back at 21:36 on the game clock. Luka wins the ball, passes it up to Ari Poyle, apparently according to his jersey, on his name on the back of his jersey. And there were a lot of frustrations I had with Poyle in this first half, with just not being able to finish or just being able to make that right last choice. But his work in the midfield is something that you absolutely have to admire, because in this moment, he very easily could have let the ball go away. If you go back to about 21:36 on the game clock, this ball is rolling out of bounds. It was going off on him. It was going to be Seattle's ball for a throw-in, and the absolute effort to keep that ball in, pass it back to Engel, who was able to just recycle the ball. And what I love is, in the past, I feel like our defense or whatever, they kind of just passed it along themselves a lot, but Engel just blasts this up to the right side of the field and starts the attack right away. Like LD was saying, everything has that attack minded, but it starts because we also have the attackers willing to work. And on the live, you might be able to see this. It's kind of glitchy a little bit, probably because we're trying to do too much all at once. But Sanabria, absolute beautiful assist. A lot of the talk this offseason was, do we actually need this kind of player when we have Catranis? And I think this absolutely shows it's not a dig at Catranis. It's Sanabria is that good. His offense is that good. And so when he's available, he's absolutely going to be the starter on this team. He's probably most likely going to go to the World Cup for a coach that hates MLS players. And I think that's saying something too. Like, he's willing to come to MLS and he wants to go to Europe, and he's showing out right now. And that touch from Aiden Herzakani, it was absolutely beautiful. Just nothing Seattle's goalie could do about it. Puts us up 1-0. The celebration between the two 18-year-olds, just fantastic. Loved everything that I saw about this one. So very, very happy about this opening goal. RSL goes up 1-0 early enough on in the game where it's the 23rd minute. And really, it puts a bit of a stop to Seattle. Seattle was pushing. They were wanting that first goal. This did take the air out of them, and it gave the home crowd their first something to cheer for. There's just a lot of uncertainty when you have so much youth. But now it's turned into immediate excitement because it's like, oh, shoot, we still have the reinforcements on their way. We've still got Morgan, Spearings, Anelli, Luna, Yedlin, all these guys. Latunji, how could I forget our 9 coming? We have all these guys that will hopefully be back semi-soon. And once these guys are together, it's how do you get these young players on the field? Because they've earned their minutes in my mind. When you're playing this well, it's not something that you can just take away from them. And so I think that's a very big key. So let's jump ahead just a little bit to right out of the first half. And this is, again, last year, if you remember, how bad was RSL to end a half and to start a half? We were awful in the first, I would say in the last 5 to the first 5 of halves. We would give up a lot of goals and we just wouldn't come off strong. This time, RSL was absolutely fantastic. Philip Quinton, for his earlier, it was a yellow card that I didn't love him taking, but he absolutely makes up for it here. It was a fantastic ball. If you go to the highlights, it's 46 minutes, 12 seconds, around there. Again, guess who this starts by? It starts by Gozo and Aiden Herzakani winning the ball back together, the two 18-year-olds working hard on the wing to essentially trap Paul Rothrock and Rodon, so that ball goes right to PQ. PQ lifts his head up right again, and to LD's point, immediately starts the attack. He puts it straight up to Booth. Booth turns around. Really nice turn to be able to pull the center back as far up as he does. Booth goes to Sanabria, goes back to Engel, and RSL is able to have this possession again and really start their attack, essentially. And that was just PQ's first ball that he had. Justin Glad then is able to give it back to PQ, who again is the last guy back with his right foot. An amazing ball over the top. Gozo is off to the races. Pio right in the middle. Is Gozo going to take this shot or is he going to pass? And I thought he was going to take the shot. I've seen him take the shot in the past, but Pio was so open. I was pleading. I was like, please pass the ball. It's an open net. Pass the ball. He does. It's perfect. It's a very good tap in. Pio makes no mistake about it. RSL goes up 2-0. It's huge for Pio's confidence. Unfortunately, we'll have to talk about what happens later in the game. It was a perfect ball. Again, props to PQ. Couldn't have put this ball better. Gozo ran onto this perfectly. Timed it great to where there's no way Pio could have been off sides as well. Just absolutely perfect goal. LD, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, like I said, I think, credit to PQ, man, because he had had a little of a that out of position, shaky moment he had at the start of the game that almost led to a goal, and then he had to pick up obviously a yellow card for fouling the player. I was a little worried for a second because I was like, oh man, with PQ sometimes last season it was hit or miss, I felt like. But he rebounded from that, and I was never really concerned for him the rest of the game. And then not only to not just be not concerned for him, but for him to be a direct contributor to a goal that the team scored is huge. And it's not easy to play those balls from the center back positioning, right? You have to be able to understand the runs that are being made, the positioning of the defense, because if you give away that ball to Seattle, it can set up an easy transition, counterattack. especially with our attacking players making the runs that they are and everybody going the opposite way. So credit to PQ on that. But I just want to say I love Peel, and I'm so happy he scored. But I think he would have some assists under his belt if he would have done the exact same thing that Gozo did for him, if he could have done that in Vancouver, right? Instead of taking that shot at the really weird angle. But super happy for Peel. Again, we're going to talk about what happened to him. I'm really gutted for him because as much as he does make me frustrated with his decisions and maybe not being as efficient as I'd like him to be in that position that he plays, I do think he works hard for the team, and he is a very much a team guy, and he has worked hard to get the minutes that he has. And so I was happy he was able to finish this off, and you could just see the joy that he had in scoring this goal and how thankful he was to Gozo for passing him the ball. You could see that on his face. So also, I would love to highlight how as soon as this goal was over, when the camera panned to the sideline, and it was just PQ being embraced by Pablo on the sideline, as well as the other players, and them all celebrating on the sideline together. That was just a really cool, thing to witness. And here's our first sponsor that we're going to talk about. If you struggle with, just kidding, but no, it was just a really cool sequence to see. I just love that we're getting in all sorts of different opportunities to score goals. Things just look really creative. Like usually at the beginning of the season, I think we complain because our team looks so one track and so one directional with how we go about playing the game. And I just feel like we have already seen so much creativity within this formation. So it's just been a really cool thing to witness so far. But yeah, fantastic goal, fantastic sequence.
Maddie, what are your thoughts on the goal?
I mean, my biggest thing is if you ever want to explain to someone what verticality means on a soccer pitch, just show them PQ picking up a ball just outside his own 18 and immediately hitting it so perfectly button hooked around Seattle's defense that Gozo is running onto it and takes his first touch right outside Seattle's 18. Hang that pass in the Louvre. I got to hold my hand up and say that I did not know that PQ had that shot in his bag. But man, heck of a pass, amazing decision-making from Gozo, and exactly like LD said, one of those things where you hope he makes the right decision, and when he does, you're both gratified and wishing that everybody did it. And Pablo did point that out in the post-match press conference that last year Gozo probably leathers that. And this year he's making the right decision. And it's the kind of growth that only comes with repetition, only comes with minutes in the fire, and RSL giving these young players minutes so they can get blooded and make better decisions moving forward, but still getting results injected in my veins. Couldn't be happier.
And Maddie, I mean, let's talk about the speedy wingers you've been begging for a while. You've got Gozo and Aiden who are just absolutely burning these center backs. And these are two, I mean, it's one of the better center back pairings the league has to offer right now. And they got burnt all game long, up the middle, up the sideline. It did not matter. And last year, I think the messaging was how much we wanted to play up the middle, but we just didn't have the pieces to do it, and we just couldn't make it work. This year we are. We can play slow, we can play fast. I think fast does help this smaller or this younger group quite a bit more, but right now we're a team that we can make opportunities happen very, very quick. It's exciting. It's fun. Let's go ahead and jump to the 61st minute. Rusnak gives us another scare. He gives us his second scare of the game. He was an absolute demon this game. He was really just going sicko mode here, but Cabral, just a nice little tip, able to get that over the post. Doesn't let that one go in. Really good effort from Rusnak here. Cabral, again, absolutely earning his man of the match, his goalkeeper of the week honors for MLS. Fantastic save. This one was one of his better ones where it keeps that game 2-0 for a little bit longer. Obviously, as we'll get into it here, it didn't stay 2-0 for very much longer after this moment. And it does come from Rusnak, who, again, he was very, very good this game. He should have had multiple goals in this one. If not for Cabral, he has a corner kick right before the 62nd minute ended. Perfect ball to roll down, who puts it into the side netting. Nothing Cabral can do about this one. Really nice header. And it was just moving on. And it's kind of like, okay, RSL, does this take the wind out of your sails? How does this really make you look? How do you respond? And coming from a lead where you have that position to now being in trouble. And when you really look at who was marking him, nobody seemed to run with Roldan. He was kind of behind Sanabria and Paul Rothrock and Cabral at the post, and it was actually kind of pretty clean when you watch this on slow motion. He runs into the goal and then back out towards the 6. It looks like Glad might have been who was supposed to mark him, But I honestly think this was actually just a really well-prepared corner from Seattle to where that might not have been on film because he literally goes past the line. He goes into the goal, then comes back out. It's going to be pretty hard to mark someone like that when you also have to watch where the ball is coming from. Really well placed. Glad was the closest one to him. It looks bad when you just have a still frame, but again, I don't know if that's actually on Glad as much as it maybe looks, or if it's more just it was a really well taken corner from Seattle. So 62nd minute, we are now 2-1 RSL, which, by the way, everyone predicted 2-1 win for RSL except for Jimmy. So we're all looking pretty nice. I'm pretty sure that everyone just copied me and is just a bunch of cheaters. And we'll talk about that later. I'm a little bit disappointed in the boys.
Just like how you not being able to hear was my fault and not your fault, right?
Well, probably that. So I would predict that was your fault actually and not mine, even though I was the only one having the issue. So let's jump ahead to about the 72nd minute. We do make some subs right before we give up that goal with Junca and Pablo Ruiz. And I saw some comments online about how every now and then, or how it seems to be a common trend that right after Pablo makes some subs, we end up giving up a goal. This one wasn't on the subs part, I really don't think, but it is kind of a funny trend that does seem to continue. However, let's go ahead to the big sub where we see our brand new real DP. We have another DP that's been playing the entire game. Maddie broke that news that Justin Glad will be a DP on paper. However, don't get up in arms over this. This makes sense. It's from a transactional, it's a salary cap move. He made the most. David actually gave it a great shout out. I think it was almost 2 months ago where he was like, hey, if we don't have that second DP, just put him as a DP on paper. It hurts nothing. He doesn't get paid more than he already was. It's just for salary cap mechanisms. MLS is a funny league. We have funny rules, and this is a funny rule. He won't be a DP come the summer if we want to add a new one. It won't stop us from adding one. So, Maddie, great job with that news and making sure that was broken in a clear way. However, some people actually do struggle with reading comprehension. So,
I would just point out, when you say that we're a funny league with funny rules, by making Jay a DP, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe RSL nets about $617,000 additional GAM. Is that right, David? Am I somewhere near the right number? So what that means is that the Miller Group, who a lot of fans have been down on saying that they're not spending money, they're paying Glad out of their own pocket now, where before the league was covering salary, the Millers are like, no, we're willing to put some cash out so that we get GAM back. And this is where the league is rewarding teams who swing. The league is rewarding teams who fill up these supernumerary, however you want to call it, these roster spots that are a little bit special. So brilliant by the front office to take advantage of what I think is a good rule the way the league has it, that's encouraging people to get involved in the arms race.
And the biggest thing is, Maddie, make it very clear and simple. Justin Glad does not stop RSL from adding a DP in the summer.
As I keep saying.
Yep.
I believe, and I got into this a little bit more with either one of the fans or somebody that I was talking to at the Monarchs match yesterday. I truly believe that the plan has always been to get a designated player at the World Cup. If you look back to Juan Cruz's original deal, it was a 1-year loan that ended right before the World Cup. So RSL could have walked away from him at that point if Botafogo hadn't had to rewind it because of their money troubles. RSL was always looking to have the flexibility to add a DP at the World Cup.
Well, and look at the flexibility that they're keeping with the U22 spot as well. Juan Arias' loan ends in the summer. Now, obviously, we all hope that one works out, but that's another one where, hey, if there's a move to be had, there are going to be 48 nations at this World Cup. There are going to be quite a few young players that can fit in that U22 category who might come to the United States and say, oh, I could play here. This could be nice. I could live in America and have a good time. Those spots, the flexibility, it was really good reporting by you, Maddie. Great job there. Bravo. However, our real DP, a guy we can't bring down, he is that designated player where the expectation is there. Maddie has asked about it for a long time, where you need a player that is the best player on the pitch or is a major difference maker. And this was, anytime you bring in a DP, it's scary, right? Because you're spending a lot of money on that player. And if it's a bust, That's $5 million down the drain. Who knows? Will that make the Millers not want to spend again? You don't know those kind of things. But it's 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes of this game. It's way too early to tell. But the only thing that I think RSL fans can feel is hope and excited about what this player is. He comes on, immediately springs Peel into the attack. He looks like this. Weeby put it really nicely on Twitter where it's like he could be a 9, a 10, a winger. He has anywhere on the pitch that we need him. And it was actually Salons that he springs, not Peel, who, by the way, if we had more than 3 gold stars, Salons would get it. That is also a player that I very much want to see more of. It's not in the highlights, but he gets the ball at the top of the 18, and he has an option to essentially pass or just shoot right away. At least that's what it looks like his options are. And that's what I think everyone expected him to do. He just takes a nice little dribble right past the defender instead and makes his move. And I was like, that's not a kid right out of college, also very young. That is an experienced player. Very, very excited about him. I'm buying stock in Salons. I want to see more from him. Would absolutely love to see the minutes. The only problem is once guys start getting healthy, where are these minutes going to come from? There's only so much to go around. He's someone I'm also very excited for. He does have the opportunity. Unfortunately, I think the ball brings him out a little bit more than he would have wanted to. Peel was pretty dang frustrated. This ball doesn't go into him. I actually think Peel was decently well marked with some guys right on his back and in front of him. Goalkeeper was in a good position as well. I really don't blame him too much for taking the shot. It misses just barely, but absolutely terrific player so far where I am shocked to see it. And Maddie, go ahead and run your freaking parade for the draft. It's working again.
Dude, that shot didn't miss. It was saved by the keeper. It deflected out off the keeper's foot. The referee crew missed it and called it a goal kick instead of a corner kick, which I'm not furious with the referee crew for missing it. I just don't want people saying that Salons missed because he didn't. He put it on frame. The keeper saved it. Go back and watch.
It's still tough to see. Even when I'm watching, at least in live, the ball does look like it takes a small bounce. Just hard to see. However, I mean, I don't think it was the wrong option, even if he does miss it. I don't care if he misses. It's a hard angle with his left foot. Coming off fast pace, and there's 4 Seattle guys in the 6. I don't think passing to Peel would have actually been the correct option. Maybe if you could have slowed it down a tiny bit, you did have Gozo coming in on the top side of the box, but I do think it would have been a pretty difficult ball to get over to Gozo. Eldy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm loving all this talk about Surge, but can we go back to my boy Morgan? Like, dude, I have been involved in watching Bundesliga for a very long time, okay? And as a fan of Bayer Leverkusen, I have been dying to see a Bundesliga-type player on RSL. And we all know that Gilavogi played at St. Pauli, which is a Bundesliga club. And this is exactly why I think a Bundesliga-type would do so well on a team like RSL under Pablo Mastroeni. Because the way that they're able to transition and turn and play balls like he just did, the way that he has his breakaway attempt where he really honestly should have put that on in the back of the net. But again, the dude had 15 minutes to play, right? It's his first time playing with the team. Probably a little bit of rust that he has to shake off. But I'm just so, like, there was one sequence where he took the ball at midfield, like asking for it. He said, give me the ball. And he just starts playing he just does back to back with different players. He's just, oh my dude, I was like, get this guy on my team on the field for 90 minutes, because I just think it's a player that we haven't seen. Honestly, I don't think it's a player that we have seen in an RSL kit before. There is not a player that I can look back and say, oh, he kind of has like a resemblance of like this type of player that we've had. But like he is its own thing. He's something new. He's something fresh. And I am so excited because he just gives me the feel of like a really good Bundesliga player that we signed to come and play for this team. And I'm just excited to see the things he can do. When he has Diego Luna at his disposal, when he has Victor Olatunji at his disposal, and then on top of that, we got these bad boys like Hezi. We have Moisa.
Gozo.
I mean, Moisa's obviously going to be playing on the same field, but Gozo, thank you. Like, it's just going to be incredible to see what he's got in his tool bag to be playing with these different players. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to see him just continue to gel with his team. As long as we stay healthy, you're telling me this is our squad, and in the summer, we still have an option to bring another DP into this team. Like, this is, you as an RSL fan, and I'm talking to you guys on the podcast, but also people who are listening to this right now, should be really, really excited. Again, it's early. It's 2 games in. I'm not trying to say that everything's going to go perfectly, but from what I'm seeing so far, like there's a lot of things to be excited about. And Gilavogi has just really made me super pumped to see the kind of things that we're going to see as far as like attacking play style and what Pablo's going to be able to cook up with this lineup. So seeing him on the field and just seeing the things that he was doing and just, again, 15 minutes is just, it's going to be insane the things he provides for us the rest of the season. I think it's going to be so cool to watch.
I don't even think that it's too much of an optimistic take to say that. We've played Vancouver and Seattle, two of the predicted top teams this year, two of the top teams last year, two teams who I really do believe in Vancouver and Seattle. They're going to run the Western Conference. They're going to be good. And we looked the part with the teenagers. We literally have been playing kids, high schoolers, 1 year out of high school, and they have looked the part. And now you put the veterans in, and once Olatunji gets there, it's scary. Now, Olatunji, it's crazy. He is the most unknown product that we have that we're excited about, because it's like, hey, he scored 4 goals in not a lot of minutes, but now it's like, can he do it over a longer period of time? So it's so funny that we're like, that's the most unknown product that we have almost. I mean, and of course Morgan, but that's a great sign when everyone else is already hitting on all cylinders, especially early on. It shows that the preseason went really well. It shows that this formation change has worked. Now, the biggest part is defensively. We'll have to see how we look. And once we get healthy there in the midfield, I think that'll be a big help as well. I'm really excited to see what Spearings looks like. I think he will be a big key. So there is so much to be excited about, and it almost wants me to change my expectations on this team so bad. I'm just trying to tell myself to chill out, just how you would if you would lose a couple games early in the season. You know, it's early, whatever. Chill out, but I really don't want to. This team is excited. LD, you said, like Morgan was saying, give me the ball. I'm so sorry to bring up Diogo. We were begging him to do this. We were begging him to be the guy that was, David, if you want to bleep it, you can. I don't care. And we were begging the guy to be, I am the best player on this field. I don't care. And that's what Morgan already comes on 15 minutes and is doing. He's saying, I am the guy. Give me the ball. I am better than everyone else. I will make things happen. When you put that guy with other players that can live up to that kind of a player, sorry, David, I know you're writing down the time that I swore. I think it just, by the way, just fun fact, David, you can look up the word and it will actually bring it up. Thank you, Riverside. Shout out Riverside. It's just so exciting to see. I'm really hopeful about this team, but let's just hurry up, wrap up the rest of this game so we can give our stars. We're actually going up on an hour really quick, so we have to get to Atlanta super fast. Seattle has a very close offside goal. I think once they saw the replay, they realized it wasn't as close as they maybe thought it was. It wasn't on the last ball to Musovski. It was on the initial ball in. And it was really great by PQ and Glad keeping their line super tight. It did mean that Glad got caught back. If PQ was just slightly more back and kept him on side, Glad would have been absolutely barbecue chicken by Musovski, but thankfully that goal stays offside. Really, I thought Glad did a great job with keeping Musovski in check. Musovski did come on and was a threat. I'm actually kind of shocked they didn't start him in this game because he was way better than the other 9 they played. Even in his just couple of minutes, way more impactful. And so thought that they probably should have played him. And then LD, you talked about the chance with Morgan. This is another great ball up the middle. How many times have our RSL players had 1v1s? We just don't see that often, and they're not connecting yet, but these players I do think are actually skilled enough to compete and connect, where in the past I think that we might have just not had the talent level to finish as well. It's Solans who just Ruiz passes it right up to Solans. The midfielders are very, very good at getting it right to that 10-ish kind of player. And this time it's Solans who's acting as the 10. Passes an absolute beauty of a ball to Morgan. Morgan, very quick, one-times it. Unfortunately, just barely too close to the keeper. I do think that this is something you can chalk off as, hey, keeper made a save. Sometimes that happens. But you want to know what our 9s didn't do last year? Put it on target. Make the keeper make a save. So again, it's an improvement. I'm not going to go ahead and give the guy all these flowers for not scoring a 1v1, but it's something that gives me hope that it's at least getting closer. And I do think that his quality will start putting those in the back of the net. And he has in the past, regardless of what you say with competition level, he has put the ball in the net in Bundesliga, in League 2, not as much in League 1, but in League 2, he has done that. And those opportunities, when he has 1v1s, it's the same kind of opportunity as he has had in the past, and he's finished. So this type of player, excited to see what we have from him. Let's go ahead. We're going to wrap up very quickly on this game and then go to Atlanta. Maddie, your 3 stars of the match day. Like I mentioned, the rules are you can give more than 1 to the same player. You must only give 3. You only get 3. This will go on a spreadsheet. We're going to track it throughout the season. It'll kind of help us understand who really has performed best this season, at least in our opinions, and will maybe keep us more accountable and not get so forgettable later on in the season. But Maddie, you're 3.
Number 1, Rafa Cabral. Congratulations on Team of the Week. Well deserved. Absolutely furious at the corner kick confusion. And it's something that Pablo said they're definitely going to work on this week. My second star of the game also made the Team of the Week, but on the bench, Xavier Gozo. Just a nightmare for Seattle to deal with the entire side. He looks to me like he's becoming more of a threat with his left foot. He's not so just speed in one side and then leather it with his right. And then my third, if I'm allowed to do this, can I give it to Pablo and the coaching staff for playing the young players and being willing to ride or die?
Yes, you are.
And saying, hey, you know what? You're going to make a mistake. You're going to make mistakes. Don't worry about it. We're going to live with it. And no one's looking around like, oh man, so-and-so's out, so now we're stuck with this guy. Everybody's just like, no. We roll with what we have. I heard the most perfect description of Pablo I've ever heard in my life today on the radio. Keith Costigan, who worked the match in Vancouver with Mo Adu, said some people are glass half empty, some people are glass half full. With Pablo, the glass is always full. Pablo's my 3rd star of the week.
I am perfectly okay with giving that as a rule, especially since this is the first time that we've ever done this. So if you want to put Pablo in there, we'll just put Pablo. That means coaching staff.
And staff,
how about that?
Yes.
Okay.
I like the idea of it because it's going to help us over the years or over the season, right? See how much does Pablo's influence on this team really play into our success this season, right? Obviously, it's like a guarantee that, he's the coach. If we're really giving him stars to that effect, like, I think it'll show that, like, I think a lot of people overlook what Pablo can do when he has good players on his squad, right? I mean, I think they overlook what he do when he doesn't have not so good players on his squad. I think that's a good shout. So I like the idea of being able to give the coaching staff stars.
And you only get 3 regardless. You cannot say, oh, a half here. You only get 3. Now, Jimmy, we're making him do this as well. By the way, come up with a punishment for our loser in the score and whatever. It's always fun when you have a good punishment. Jimmy thinks that somebody should have to tattoo Royal Riot onto their butt. I don't necessarily think that's the best idea. So come up with a good punishment. Come up with a good trophy as well. We like having a winner, especially since I know it's going to be me. Jimmy's 3 stars was Gozo, Aiden, and Cabral. I very much think that's easy enough to see. Eldy, you're 3 stars.
Okay, so I was really split on this. I feel like Gozo's getting some love, so I don't feel as bad as not giving him a star now. So, no, take away Gozo. Yeah. So, what I would say, my first star is going to be the same as Maddie, Rafa Cabral. I think it's a shame that on the MLS article at the beginning of the season, they put goalkeeper of the year candidates, and he didn't even get one mention of being a goalkeeper of the year candidate. The fact that we even got into the playoffs was because that man saved our A's every single game. And so I was a little annoyed that they didn't even put him in as an honorable mention for goalkeeper of the year candidate. So I think he's already showing like this wasn't just a fluke. I didn't just come to MLS for 1 year and play really good. Like I'm that guy. I'm him. And so Rafa Cabral gets the star. My boy Hezi, he's got to get the 2nd star. I already went over why. So 2nd star. 3rd star, for you to have 15 minutes in a game and make me believe that you are going to be I'm saying it right now, guys. I will say it. I think he might be the MVP by the end of our season for RSL. Like, he might be the guy that we look to and be like, man, he came in and really made this team on a whole nother level that we haven't seen before. So Morgan's going to take my other star just because he impressed me in just 15 minutes. And I think we're going to see so much more from him when he gets more minutes as well. So those are my 3 stars.
Thank you so much, Eldy. David, you just put yours on the sheet. Who are yours? Unmute yourself.
So I have to go with Cabral and Gozo. Obviously, they have really good matches. And maybe it's because I've been excited for him to come to Salt Lake City and see him play. But Sanabria, I love the assist and everything that he did. He was so well balanced. And you heard that word with Aiden Hazard-Khani. If you've ever heard Pablo talk about Aiden. But also I saw that with Sanabria, is that he was really well balanced with getting forward, but then also coming back. So those were my three.
I like it a lot. I will follow your lead with Aiden and you didn't go Aiden. You went Sanabria and Gozo. I'm actually not going to go Gozo. I will go Aiden instead, but I'll stick with Sanabria, and then I'll also go Cabral. Those three, fantastic. I loved seeing the new guy this was my signing of the offseason. Now I think Morgan is going to have a lot more to say about that than maybe I thought, with how excited he made me, like Odie was saying with those 15 minutes. Super hyped about him as a DP, but man, what a player we have at left back right now. The fact that we have Catranes coming off the bench, giving Pablo stars will be something that I will do this season once I start seeing how he can rotate this squad, because he has too many guys to not have a successful team. But the only way that I think that this might not work is if you can't manage the minutes and get the right guys on with the right players. And this time he absolutely did it. So, Maddie, I love your thought with the stars for coaching, but we'll keep updated on that as we go. So RSL taking on Atlanta in Atlanta this week. Not too often that we go to Atlanta to take them on. Funny enough, last time we played them, we were also in Atlanta. So kind of funny that we have to go back to back there. Actually, that's not true. We played them in 2024 where we beat them 5-2. Maddie, took you for a shocker there. Just absolutely out of the blue there. 5:30 Eastern time, 5:30 Mountain time. RSL will be taking on a team that has struggled to start the year. This is a team that is spiraling. If you are someone that just says spend money and it will work, it doesn't work when your name is Atlanta. They have spent the most money in the league in the last 2 seasons, and it has been dreadful for them. Latte has just been awful. He has not looked good. Amaran is not the player that he used to be, it looks like. And I don't even know how to say his name. I'm just going to go by his first name, hasn't been looking fantastic. They have been shut out in their first 2 games. And sadly, one of them was against San Jose, who notably has one of the worst defenses in the league. So at least if we're still going off of last year, and they didn't do much to improve that defense in the offseason. So unless those guys improved a lot, I would expect that defense to still be subpar at best. Anyways, no more shout outs to San Jose right now. Atlanta 2-0. Both games against Cincinnati in that first one, they looked uninspiring. This just isn't a team that has looked very good. Their defense looks awful. Brooks Lennon, maybe that's their fault for getting rid of our academy product and just putting him out. Maybe that's what they get now, but it's not a very inspiring team. The only thing that gives me thought on, okay, maybe this team comes ready to play is it is their home opener. It is a tough place to play. It is something that they can come in and see what they have to show for their fans. And they do have a new coach who has been known very well for his adjustments throughout a season. Now, that's where it does come to be a tough place. It's a tough place to play again. We should be starting some of the young guys. Maddie, do we have any kind of injury update on Olatunji, Luna?
I saw both of them in the hall at, upstairs. I think Olatunji's probably closer than Luna, but I don't know. He's going to have to wear protective goggles for that eye injury. He was protecting it from light when I saw him, so he actually had sunglasses on.
Dude, that's going to be such a sick look.
That's wait. Fire. That is fire.
I will say, one of the funny things is I was talking to Craig Weibel in the hall. We hadn't seen each other in years, so we were, we're just having a lifetime conversation. And Luna walks by, and Craig's like, "Oh, hey, man, when are you going to be back?" And Luna talks to him for a minute, and then he leaves. And then afterwards, I rode the elevator down with Luna, Olatunji, Emeka, and Juan Arias. And Luna's like, "Who was that dude you were talking to?" I'm like, "Craig Weibel? Club legend, assistant coach and technical director, won cups in Houston and San Jose." And Luna's like, "Yeah, I had no idea who he was."
That's hilarious. I love Diego. We need him back so bad. As fun as this looks, it's almost just like an appetizer until we start getting some of these guys back, where it's like, all right, let's see what this attack really is. It's inspiring, but it's like, I'm chomping at the bits to get it back. Nelly, another guy coming off injury.
Can I just say that if Victor ends up balling out with goggles on, his celebration will have to be even after the goggles go away, he'll have to do something where he is mimicking goggles over his eyes or something like that. That should just be his trademark thing. That would be so nasty. So I hope he ends up wearing goggles. David actually put something interesting in the chat about Wolf not getting minutes so far, because he didn't get anything in Vancouver either, right? Is that correct? Which is he was my breakout player of the year, I think, when I had selected for breakout players, and he hasn't sniffed the field yet. And I'm thinking about it and just seeing how like Hezar Khani is playing, seeing how, Gozo's obviously playing. You still have, Solans. It's a tough roster. I didn't realize how good these young kids were going to be right off the bat. And so I'm interested to see how Wolf makes his claim to try to get minutes in this team. But we just have an abundance of riches that it feels like right now, especially when everybody's healthy. So yeah, it seems like it's gonna be really hard if you're not playing at a top level in your game to see the field, just with how good everybody's playing right now. So that'll be interesting to see.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for bringing that in and talking about that shortly. So RSL, we didn't actually talk about this like I said we would, but Peel, really unfortunate injury. It looks like he's going to be out for a decent amount of time. I mean, when the coach is talking in the press conference about how it doesn't look good, how he's not feeling good about it, I mean, we do have, I guess, a doctor on the podcast, I guess, but it just doesn't look like it's going to be great for him. Hopefully not too bad. MLS is kind of a strange league where unless it's season ending, we don't really get how long they're going to be out, typically, at least mass reported. So unless he's out for this season, it's probably going to be not too well reported unless they give us something that they haven't in the past. But oftentimes it's not a requirement like it is, in NFL, MLB, NBA, where they actually give us a timetable for return. Hopefully he's getting better. It really does suck that when he does get a goal in that game, he really did play well in the middle of the park. It just sucks that he's not able to stay healthy. It does open up opportunities for other players, and that's going to be the question mark. Where does Morgan play? I need to see this guy start against Atlanta. Start him somewhere. Do you move Aiden up into the 9? Do you just put Morgan at the 9 and let him play that false 10 a little bit, that wing, and just kind of let them all rotate how they have in the past? I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's an easy positional move for me. Put Morgan there. If he's only ready to go for 60 minutes, fine. Yes, on turf. I don't care about their turf. Just play him anyways. He's not coming off injury. He's fine. If you've only got to go 60 minutes with him, go 60. But my prediction, we'll go into that real quick. I'm going to go 1-1 draw. I don't think that we lose this game. I do think Seattle does get their first goal of the season against us. We have looked leaky on defense a little bit where we are giving teams opportunities. This isn't a team that has created a lot, but if they're going to have their chances, we are a team that has been prone to giving teams with good attackers good spaces and good opportunities. I think Cabral will be able to keep the damage minimal, but I will say one sneaks past him. I'll go 1-1, and I do think Morgan is going to get his first goal against Atlanta. Go ahead, Maddie.
I'm predicting 2-0 win for RSL, and if it weren't going to be on turf and I was confident that Morgan was going to start, I would say 3-0. But because it is on turf and we need him for the whole year, I wouldn't be horrifically surprised to see the same lineup that we saw with Morgan coming in the 60th, 70th minute.
Very nice. David.
So I am the only one so far that has put a 2-0 loss. I just think that Atlanta, first off, both of their first two games were away, and that's really hard to start the season with a couple away games. And they have to prove to their fans the transfer window is still open, right? They could ship them off if they're not having a good beginning of the season. So I think they're going to try. They have something to prove, and they might just surprise us with a couple of early goals. And it's a hard place to play, Atlanta. So 2-0.
Eldy.
You know what? I was a little concerned because we usually don't play good on turf. Turf is always just a tough place to play on. Wacky things happen, crazy things happen. But we played on turf. We just played Vancouver, first game of the season on turf. We know what it's like to play on turf very recently. I know turfs differentiate depending on which surface you're playing on or which stadium you're in, especially Vancouver's. But I think them playing a game in Vancouver gives them a little bit of confidence about going into playing a game on turf. I think they're riding high from this game against Seattle. I think in their heads, they're thinking we just played some of the top Western Conference teams and have been in each game. We barely lost to Vancouver on a fluky goal. We handled Seattle. I think they're going to be feeling pretty good in Atlanta. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be one of those games where we potentially score a goal. Atlanta draws it, and so it gets the crowd hyped. They think they're about to win it, and then we eventually end up breaking hearts out there in Atlanta and scoring a goal. So I'm going to say 2-1 win for RSL.
I like it. Smash and grab. leave with 3 points. If we can get points on the road, we talked about this in the preseason. The first 10 games are very, very tough. Atlanta is one of the not as strong top 10 games. The toughest part is, of course, it's on the road. And we talked about how you need probably minimal. You need 12 points to be putting yourself in a good position against these top opponents, because the schedule does get significantly easier after the first 10. We did get that win against Seattle, which we all claimed, hey, you have to get that. Vancouver, we said it would be cool for a draw, but that is a place where you kind of did expect a loss almost against such a good Western Conference runner-ups, everything like that, blah, blah, blah. Atlanta, have to get something done. You, of course, want to, in MLS, you always say if you can get a draw on the road, wins at home, that's a recipe for success. This time we will be able to start getting some separation. We have Maddie and LD going with wins, different score lines. I'm Jimbo and myself going with Jaws. David, he's just trying to get himself ahead off of our downfall.
What the new Hayden
guy. The new Hayden. Yeah, just hater over there. Taking the L. Jimmy so far is getting a tattoo on his ass, so that's on him. But thank you so much for joining this episode of Royal Riot. Maddie, last stop.
Dude, we didn't do Monarchs moments. The Monarchs opened their season yesterday with a 2-2 draw against North Texas. Twice they were down a goal. Twice they came back. The first from Jesus Barea. The second from Lineker Rodriguez. Lineker Rodriguez was a player we drafted at the start of last season, but because of visa issues, we didn't actually get to see him play until about 3/4 of the way through. He is the most casual, looks like he's asleep assassin I've ever seen in my life. David, I know you watched the match. On Barea's goal, Lineker took a shot that deflected back to him, and he just casually slides it over to Barea to finish. On the tying goal that he scored, a new substitute, I'm blanking on his first name, but his last name is Ewald. They tell me that he's German, was tormenting that side of North Texas's defense. Barea hits either a corner or a free kick, and Ewald smashes it with a header off the post. Lineker, again, just looks like he's asleep as he flicks it over the keeper to get the draw. But my man of the match had to be Max Kirkfleet in goal. Max had several one-on-one saves. He had a nice double stopper on the 5th or so, and then saved 2 in the penalty shootout, the first and the last, to give the Monarchs the extra point and kick the season off very, very well. What'd you think, David?
Yeah, just real quick, but first off, I think Gio Villa, you got to look out for him. I think he's going to get first team minutes in the next 2 years. He's a great baller. And I really like that you can see the similarities with the style of play. Right now, Monarchs are playing exactly how the first team is setting up. Griffin Dillon played great in the center midfield, just kind of how he left off with Monarchs. And yeah, like I said to LD and everyone in the chat, Tyler Wolff was on the bench, so he got benched even for the Monarchs. So that is not a great sign, but who knows? It's still a long season, so if he gets his opportunities, hopefully he can take them. That's all.
Well, we got to give a quick shout out to Will Mackey, who was the on-again, off-again keeper last year, splitting time mostly with Kirkfleet. Today, as you're listening to this, the announcement's going to drop that he has been traded to Huntsville. It's a lateral move. They still play in the MLS Next Pro. He just, I'm not breaking news. He started tonight for Huntsville versus Orlando. They were 3-1 winners. It looks like he made 5 saves. Very happy for Will. My guess would be that he's going somewhere he's not going to have to share minutes, where he's going to be obviously he's the match 1 starter. He just got there. But I do have confirmation that RSL is going to get a little bit of money, and they do have a little bit of sell on. So if his career goes the way that I think it will, RSL stands to benefit. So very happy to see Will go somewhere and be happy. And I wish him all the best moving forward. If you're not reading my Substack, please do. It's at Shit Kicker. I am going to start giving away prizes in a week. So you've got a week to sign up and subscribe. One of the things I pointed out this week in my Monarchs recap, at that match in the stands, Eden Hazarkani, Jamal Campbell-Reese, Sergi Solans, all from the first team. Then we had Van Parker from the academy with some of his academy friends, Kurt Schmidt, Jason Kreis, Tony Beltran, all in the stands watching the game together, assistant coach Ant Pulis out there watching the games. You really see the pathway from academy to RSL when you go to these Monarchs games. Lowry told us after the game, everyone was so surprised, or has been so surprised, at the performances of Moisa and Hazarkani. I think his quote was, "I could have told them they were ready last year, and I've got more who are ready to contribute. So if you want to see these guys before you have to pay big bucks to see them at AFF, get yourself on out to Zion's Bank. The boys are going to be on the road this weekend against KC. Boo. But the following week, they'll be back home.
Maddie, David, thank you so much for the Monarchs update. Always great to hear. That is exciting that we have a lot of guys. And Maddie, your work with really showing the academy to RSL, everything that you've been doing. Absolutely love it. If you guys don't already subscribe to a Substack, make sure you do. For my agenda, that was breaking news. So Maddie, thank you so much for breaking the news here on Roar Riot. You heard it here first. Definitely not anywhere else. Maddie, the best breaking news person in the RSL space, officially calling that now. Only on his Substack from now on. No more breaking news on the podcast. Not allowing it. Actually, not true. You have to break it here first, then Substack. I'll make the rules as I go. But anyways, thank you all so much for joining this episode. We will be back to you in some capacity next week. Hopefully it's all four of us. The odds are not strong. I'm going to be honest. But we'll see what happens next week. Coming to you after RSL hopefully gets a much-needed win on the road, gets the season off to just another successful start. It's been good. Make sure to tune in. That game is at 5:30 Mountain Time, 7:30 Eastern Time against Atlanta. You can find that on Apple TV. Any comments, make sure to reach out to us. We love any feedback y'all have. Any reviews is always positive. Unless they're negative, then don't leave them. You can just message me personally and say your hate there. That's much more preferred. I'll fight back. I'll have fun. But anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will talk to y'all next time.